Hey, I'm Jace Whitaker. I'm 23 live, just outside Flagstaff, Arizona. And I work full-time as a mechanic in my uncle's garage. Been doing it since high school. And honestly, I like getting my hands dirty. Engines make more sense than most people do. It was a Friday afternoon, late summer, the kind of day where the sky looks too perfect, and you forget the speed limit signs even exist. I was heading back home from work, windows down, music up, nothing crazy, maybe 5, 6 miles over. Roads were open, no traffic, sun was setting, and I guess I just let myself zone out a bit. Then I saw the lights in my rear view mirror. At first, I thought maybe she was passing through, but then I heard the siren chirp once quick, sharp. That was for me. I pulled over, heart already starting to thump. I wasn't scared, not really. I knew I wasn't flying or anything, but still getting pulled over just messes with your head. I turned the engine off, rolled the window down, took a deep breath, and waited. She walked up slowly, hand resting on her hip, confident, controlled. She had dark brown hair, tied up tight sunglasses on despite the low sun, and the kind of posture that said she didn't mess around. When she leaned forward, I saw the badge. Officer Maddox. Evening, she said, voice calm, professional. License and registration, please. I nodded, handed them over. Was I speeding? She took a second glance back toward her cruiser, then back at me. You were doing 47 and a 40. I always, she said. Technically, yes. Didn't even realize, I said, trying not to sound defensive. You and everyone else, she replied, cracking a small smile. Sit tight. She walked back to her vehicle. I sat there tapping my fingers on the steering wheel, already doing the math in my head to find the insurance. Hit how mad my uncle would be if I had to borrow money again. She came back after a bit, didn't have a ticket in her hand, just that same calm face and a small folded piece of paper. I should write you a ticket, she said, standing at my window. I looked up at her already halfway to saying, okay, I understand. But then she interrupted herself, but I'd rather write down my number. For a second, I genuinely thought I misheard her. Like what? I stared at her and she just stood there still in full uniform, stone-faced, like she just asked for my registration again. You're serious? I asked. She handed me the paper casually. You seem like a decent guy, and I don't usually do this. In fact, I've never done this. I took the note. It was a real phone number, ink handwriting, no joke. She stepped back, gave me a small nod. You're free to go, Mr. Whitaker, she said, turning to order a cruiser. I started my engine still in some kind of a fong, and slowly pulled back onto the road. I didn't even turn the music back on. I just kept glancing at the note on the seat next to me. I replayed the whole thing in my head at least 5 times before I got home. Did she mean it? Was it a prank? Some sort of test? But the way she looked at me, it didn't feel like a setup. Felt real. And the worst part, now I had to decide, do I call her? I kept that piece of paper in my glove box for 2 days. Every time I got in the truck, I'd have folded neatly right next to my registration. I'd glance at it, think, nah, not today, and drive off like it wasn't eating me alive inside. It was surreal. I mean, what was I supposed to think? A cop, not just any cop, a woman in uniform older than me, confident as hell, gave me her number on the side of the road. That doesn't happen. Not in my world. The doubt was louder than curiosity. Maybe she was just being nice. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it was some twisted test to see if I'd break the line and text the cop. I told myself all kinds of things to avoid dialing in that number. But by Sunday night, I couldn't stand not knowing. I sat on my porch with a beer in one hand and the folded note in the other. My cousin Nate was over watching the game inside. I told him about what happened and he just laughed like I was making it up. Cop gave you her number like for real. Dead serious. He squinted at me like he was trying to figure out if I was drunk. If she did and you haven't called, bro, she's probably telling that story to her friends right now. Like, can you believe this kid didn't call me? That was the push I needed. I walked out to my truck, shut the door behind me, and stared at the number again. My hands were sweating, which was ridiculous. I'd rebuilt carburetors blindfolded, but this made me nervous. I opened my phone, typed the number, and hit call before I could talk myself out of it. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then I heard her voice. Hello. It was her calm, clear of the same voice from the side of the road. I hesitated. Oh hey, this is Jace. Jace Whitaker. You stopped me the other day. A short pause. I know who this is, she said. I could almost hear the smile in her voice. I honestly didn't think you'd call, she said. Well, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to, I said. Thought maybe you were just messing with me. She laughed low confident. If I were messing with you, I would have given you the ticket and my number. I chuckled, the tension breaking. Fair enough. We talked not about anything big, the weather, our weekends, how I almost convinced myself not to call. She told me her full name was Karen Maddox, 35. No kids, no husband. Been on the force for over 10 years. Lived alone on the edge of town with a black lab named Murphy and a deep love for strong coffee. Why me? I asked when the conversation finally hit that lull where honesty sneaks in. She didn't hesitate. You just look like someone decent, she said. Most guys I pull over either argue or lie. You didn't. And I don't know. Something about you felt grounded. Real. I didn't know what to say. I'd never been called real before. Not in a way that mattered. She saved me the awkward silence. Want to meet up? Just coffee. No tickets involved. I laughed. Sure. Where? She named a diner on the outskirts. Quiet. Not the kind of place she'd get recognized in uniform. Tomorrow evening. Yeah, that works. Cool. Wear the same shirt. The one from the other night looked good on you. I was smiling like a fool when I hung up. And the next day, I spent 20 minutes ironing that damn shirt. A shirt I didn't even know could wrinkle. Nate caught me fixing my hair in the hallway mirror and said, "You're acting like it's prom night." Feels like it, I muttered. I got to the diner early. She was already there. Out of uniform, Karen looked even more striking. Jeans, leather jacket, hair loose around her shoulders. She stood up when she saw me, and I swear everything around us blurred out for a second. She smiled. Took you long enough. I smiled back. I had to build up the courage. Well, she said, motioning toward the booth. You're here now. We sat. We ordered coffee, and I realized pretty quickly this wasn't going to be some weird one-time thing. We talked for over an hour. No awkward pauses, no strange small talk. She was funny, sharp, direct, the kind of woman who says what she means and doesn't flinch when you look her in the eye. I asked her if she'd done this before, given her number to someone she pulled over. She shook her head. Never. You were the first. That hit me harder than it should have. After we left the diner, she walked me to my truck. So I said, leaning against the door, "Do I get a warning now?" She smirked. "No, but you get this." And then she leaned in and kissed me. Nothing dramatic, just a soft, sure kiss that said, this wasn't a maybe. When she pulled back, she whispered, "Next time, don't wait so long to call." I didn't sleep much that night. After that kiss, I just sat in my truck outside the diner for a few minutes, staring at the wheel like it would explain what just happened. It wasn't just the kiss. It was the way she looked at me, like she wasn't second-guessing it. Like she knew what she wanted and went for it. I wasn't used to that. Most of the girls I dated were my age, same town, same bars, same stories. Karen, she was in her own league. And for some reason, she'd picked me. The next day, I walked into the garage late. My uncle gave me a look. Rough night. I smiled. Couldn't help it. Something like that. He raised a brow but didn't press. I guess it was written all over my face. That week, Karen and I texted constantly. Nothing crazy, a meme here. I hope you're not speeding there. But it built something. Every message felt like a continuation of that first look we shared at the window of my truck. I learned more about her. She worked mostly evening shifts like dark roast coffee, preferred dogs over cats, hated country music even though she grew up in Texas and secretly loved crossword puzzles. By the weekend, she texted, "Want to get off your porch and take me somewhere that doesn't smell like motor oil?" I sent back, "Name it." We agreed on a small coffee shop downtown. She picked a place, said she liked it because nobody there recognized her as a cop. I got there early again. Couldn't help myself. I kept checking my phone even though I knew she wasn't late. Then she walked in. No uniform, just a denim jacket over a black tee, dark jeans, hair, and a loose ponytail. Simple, effortless, but still heads turned. Not because she was flashy, because she carried herself like she didn't owe the world an explanation. "Hey," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hey." I smiled. "You look not like you'd pull me over." She grinned. "Good. That's the goal." We ordered coffee, sat back, and just talked, not forced conversation, the kind where you don't notice time moving. I told her about the garage, how I started helping my uncle at 13. How I almost skipped graduation because I was rebuilding a '69 Camaro. She listened, not politely, really listened. Then she told me about her academy days, how she was the only woman in her training class. How she broke her nose during a drill and didn't tell anyone until after the shift. How people underestimated her until they didn't. How she once had to talk down a guy on the edge of a highway overpass for hours. And how some days she still questioned whether it was worth it. But then she said, looking in her cup, "Someone calls you a lifesaver and it resets you." There was no performance in her voice, no pride, just honesty. At some point, our coffees were empty. We didn't move. We just sat there comfortable in the silence. Then she asked, "Why aren't you freaking out about the age difference?" Caught me off guard. I hadn't thought about it in a while. I shrugged. "Because when I'm with you, you'll not feel like I'm younger. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be." She stared at me for a second and something shifted in her eyes like a layer came off. "That's not something most guys your age would say." "Maybe I'm not most guys." She smiled. We walked out together, the sun, low streetlights just starting to buzz. We stopped at her car. "I had a good time." I said, "Me too." She hesitated, then leaned against her car. "I haven't done this in a while," Jay stating, letting someone in. "I didn't expect this." "Me neither," I said quietly. "I wasn't even planning to speed that day." She laughed. Not just a small one. A full laugh like something unhooked inside her. "Best ticket I never wrote," she said. There was a pause. We both knew what would happen next. I stepped forward slowly. She didn't move away. This kiss was different than the first, longer, deeper. Like we weren't testing something anymore. Like we were confirming it. She rested her forehead against mine. "So what now?" "I see you again." I said, "That's what." She nodded. "All right then. But next time I pick the place and no motor oil. Deal." She got in the car, rolled down the window, and added with a smirk, "Try not to get pulled over on the way home. Not unless it's me." She shook her head, laughing, and drove off. I stood there for a minute, watching her tail lights fade down the road. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about what came next. I was just glad I made the call. It had been 3 months since that first kiss in the diner parking lot, and nothing about it felt like a fling anymore. Karen and I saw each other every week, sometimes just once, sometimes more, depending on her shifts. Her hours were rough evenings, overnights, back-to-backs, but she always made time and I always showed up. At first, we kept things low-key. No big declarations, no labels. But we both felt the same current building under the serene, the kind that doesn't just fade. One Friday night, she texted me, "Come over after your shift. Don't bring flowers. Bring food." I'm dead. So I did burgers, fries, and 2 milkshakes. She opened the door in sweats and a messy bun badge and duty belt already on the table. She looked exhausted and beautiful. "You brought fries," she said, half smiling. "You get me." That night, we sat on her couch, ate in silence for a while, and watched some old detective show that she said was unrealistic garbage. She fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I didn't move for an hour. I just let her breathe. That was the night I realized I loved her. I didn't say it right, then didn't feel like she needed to hear it yet, but it sat in my chest like a truth I couldn't ignore. The next weekend, she invited me to meet her sister, Devin. That felt huge. "Just a heads up," Karen said in the car. "Devin's a little protective." I smiled. Good means she cares. When we pulled into the driveway of a modest ranch-style house on the north side of the town, I suddenly felt nervous in a way I hadn't been since our first date. Karen knocked once, then walked in without waiting. Inside, her sister was setting down a tray of lemonade. She looked maybe a few years older than Karen. Same eyes, different energy, more guarded. "So, this is the mechanic?" Devin said, half joking. "That's me." I nodded, extending a hand. She shook it. "How old are you again?" 23. A pause. "And you're dating my sister?" "Yes, ma'am." Karen rolled her eyes. "Dev, seriously." But Devin smiled a little. "Just zoo. Sure he knows what he's signing up for." We had dinner, grilled chicken potato salad. The conversation was light, occasionally awkward, but real. I could tell Devin wasn't sure about me, but she wasn't hostile either. She was watching the way I looked at Karen, the way I listened to her stories, the way she laughed when I teased her. Before we left, Devin pulled me aside in the kitchen. "She's been through hell, Jace. You heard her. I'll make sure you regret it." "I won't," I said, and I meant it. Karen dropped me off at my place that night. Before I got out of the car, I turned to her. "Your sister's intense. She means well. She's not wrong, though." I said, "You've been through stuff. I know I'm young. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm serious about you." Karen looked at me, her face unreadable at first. Then she said, "You're the first man I've dated who's ever looked me in the eye and said that." She kissed me softly, then whispered, "I'm serious about you too." A few weeks later, something big happened. I signed a lease on a small auto shop across town. Nothing fancy, just a 2-bay garage with decent foot traffic and low rent. I drained most of my savings to make it happen. "Why?" I told Karen. I expected her to be cautious, maybe even worried. Instead, she lit up. "You did it," she said, wrapping her arms around me. "I'm proud of you. You don't think it's crazy?" "No," she said. "You know what you're doing, and I've never seen you more sure." That same night, I asked her if she wanted to drive out of town with me the next morning. Just a quick getaway before the madness of opening the shop. She said yes. We took her car, left our phones on silent, and drove up into the mountains, just us, the road, and nothing we had to be. We stopped at a scenic overlook halfway up. The sun was setting behind the ridge. She stood there, arms crossed, jacket zipped up to her chin, just looking out. I reached into my bag, heart pounding, pulled out the small black box I'd been carrying around for a week, and walked up beside her. Karen," she turned, brows raised. "I wasn't planning to do this up here or today, but the truth is, ever since you pulled me over, nothing's felt random anymore." I opened the box, a simple ring, nothing flashy. "I want to spend the rest of my life showing you that you were right to take that chance on me. Will you marry me?" She blinked once, then again. I could see her lip tremble slightly, but she didn't cry. She smiled. "You're insane," she said. I nodded a little. Then she kissed me. Not a word, just that kiss. When she pulled back, she whispered, "Yes." And just like that, we weren't just dating anymore. We were building something permanent. We got married 8 months later. Nothing extravagant, just a small ceremony in Devin's sister's backyard with folding chairs, paper lanterns, and a few dozen people who actually mattered. Devin cried the entire time. My uncle wore a tie for the first time in 15 years. And Karen looked like no one I'd ever seen before. Confident, radiant, grounded. She wore a simple white dress with her badge tucked into her bouquet. "For luck," she said. Our vows were short, honest. Hers ended with, "You weren't even supposed to be in my lane that day, but I'm glad you were." I didn't try to be poetic. I just told her the truth, that I'd never known what I was looking for until I saw her standing at my window holding a citation she never gave me. After the ceremony, we danced barefoot in the grass. My cousin played guitar. Kids ran around with sparklers. It wasn't perfect, but it was us. We didn't do a honeymoon. Karen was still on active duty, and I was neat in opening the shop, but we didn't care. We were building something real. The garage took off faster than I expected. People liked that I was young, hungry, and didn't talk down to them. I hired 2 more mechanics within 6 months. We opened 7 days a week, and for the first time in my life, I didn't worry about rent or whether my truck would make it another winter. At home, things settled into a rhythm. Karen worked nights most of the time, so mornings were our version of evening as coffee at sunrise. Her in sweats and my hoodie, me covered in grease from a late job at the shop. We'd sit on the porch in silence some days just watching the sunrise. Then one morning she looked at me over her mug and said, "I think I'm late." I blinked. "For work?" She shook her head, biting her lip. "No, I mean really late." We didn't panic. Not at first, but after 3 tests said the same thing. She sat down on the bathroom floor, leaned against the wall, and laughed. Not out of fear, out of disbelief. "I'm 36, she said. "I didn't think I'd get here." "You mean pregnant?" "I mean, with someone I trust, someone I'd actually want to raise a kid with." I knelt down beside her and placed a hand on her stomach. "We'll be good parents." She looked at me a little teary. "You think so?" "I know." The pregnancy was smooth, all things considered. She worked until her 5th month, then took leave. I cut back my hours to be home more. Devin helped a lot. Brought over meals, helped repaint the nursery. Even Murphy Karen's ancient black lab seemed gentler around her, like he knew something was coming. The night our son was born, it was raining. We'd gone in for a routine checkup, and the doctor said, "You're not going home tonight." Karen was calm, focused just like always. I, on the other hand, was pacing the room, fumbling with the hospital forms, texting my uncle, calling Devin, trying not to freak out. Hours later, Eli Maddox Whitaker came into the world. 6 lb, dark hair, lungs, like a siren. When they handed him to Karen, she just stared. No words, just tears. I held them both and knew without a doubt this was the best thing I'd ever been part of. We brought him home 2 days later. Murphy sniffed his toes and immediately claimed him as part of the pack. I built a crib from scratch. Karen said it leaned to the left. I told her it gave the baby character. Life slowed down in the best way. We didn't go out much. We stayed in learning how to live inside the same 4 walls with no sleep formula stains and diaper blowouts. And somehow in all the chaos we laughed more than ever. We didn't lose each other. We just grew around each other. One night, maybe 6 months after Eli was born, we were sitting on the porch again, the same spot where we'd shared so many quiet mornings. Eli was asleep inside. The baby monitor crackled softly between us. Karen leaned back in her chair, her hair pulled up, hoodie zipped to her chin. "You ever think about that day?" she asked. "The day you pulled me over?" She nodded. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I just written you that ticket." "You'd be $40 richer," I said. She laughed, and probably still single. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said quietly, "I wasn't supposed to be on that road. Dispatch rerouted me at the last second because someone else called out." I turned to her. "I didn't know that." "Yeah," she said. "I didn't think about it much then. And now I don't know. It's crazy how life works." I reached over, took her hand. "Best detour of my life." She smiled, leaned her head on my shoulder, and that was it. No drama, no cliffhangers, just us 2 people who found each other by complete accident. Built a life together from scratch and ended up exactly where we were meant to be. The story of Jace and Karen is a powerful reminder that life's most meaningful moments often arise from unexpected detours. Their chance encounter sparked by a routine traffic stop teaches us to stay open to the possibilities that unfold when we least expect them. Jace's courage to call Karen despite his doubts and her bold decision to take a chance on him show that vulnerability and trust can lead to profound connections. This narrative underscores the importance of seizing fleeting opportunities, even when they feel risky or unconventional, as they can transform our lives in ways we never imagine. Karen's choice to see Jace's authenticity beyond his age or circumstances, and Jace's willingness to embrace a relationship that defied norms highlight the beauty of genuine human connection. Their journey from a roadside encounter to building a family together is an emotional testament to the idea that love, when rooted in mutual respect and honesty, can overcome obstacles and create a lasting home. It's a call to listen to our instincts, take bold steps, and cherish the people who make us feel truly seen. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Has an unexpected moment ever changed your life's path? Your stories inspire us and strengthen our community. If this tale touched your heart, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to join our journey of heartfelt storytelling. Let's keep exploring life's beautiful lessons together.